Which animal is known for its black and white stripes? Zebra. What is the most famous sport? Football. What is the most famous food? Pizza. What is the most famous tourist attraction? Eiffel Tower. What is the most famous book? Holy Bible. What is the most famous car? Toyota Corolla. What is the most famous game? Minecraft. What is the most famous smartphone? iPhone. What is the most famous social media platform? Facebook. What is the most famous beverage? Coca-Cola. What is the most famous holiday destination? Paris. What is the most famous language? English. What is the most famous brand? Apple. What is the most famous animal? Dog. What is the most famous color? Blue. What is the most famous flower? Rose. What is the most famous dessert? Ice cream. What is the most famous vegetable? Potato. What is the most famous fruit? Banana. What is the most famous city? New York. What is the most famous airline? Emirates. What is the most famous clothing brand? Nike. What is the most famous chocolate brand? Cadbury. What is the most famous ice cream flavor? Vanilla. What is the most famous burger? Cheeseburger. What is the most famous snack? Chips. What is the most famous cereal? Cornflakes. What is the most famous type of milk? Cow's milk. What is the most famous juice? Orange juice. What is the most famous tea? Green tea. What is the most famous coffee? Espresso. At what temperature does water boil at standard pressure? (100°C). In which season do leaves typically fall from trees? Autumn. What material is the planet Earth primarily made of? Rock. What is the longest bone in the human body? Femur. What is the closest star to Earth besides the Sun? Proxima Centauri. What is the hardest part of the human body? Tooth enamel. When is the shortest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere? December 22nd. How many years are there in a decade? 10 years. How many times larger is the Sun's diameter compared to Earth's? 109 times. What is the hardest mineral in the world? Diamond. Who was the first human to walk on the moon? Neil Armstrong. What is the common name of the celestial body orbiting Earth? Moon. What is the recommended daily amount of water to drink? Eight glasses. In which year was the television first demonstrated? (1927). How many hours of sleep are considered healthiest for adults? 8 hours. What is the best time of day to exercise for energy? Early morning. Which food is considered a healthy breakfast option? Eggs. Which exercise is good for improving flexibility? Yoga. Which food is a good source of protein? Chicken.